And we're back, and we just finished watching 1988's Midnight Run, directed by Martin Brest.
Martin Brest, yes. I'm sure he got a lot of teasing when he was a kid.
And off a script by George Gallo. This is a movie that we've seen before. I haven't seen it in a long time, and you forget how goddamn good it is. It is a gosh darn delight. There's a ton of cursing in it.
Oh my god!
Not really family friendly, but it is hilarious and has still stood the test of time.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm gonna go around the room.
Did you say 89?
No, 88.
88.
1988.
God damn, that came out in 88?
88.
88.
Isn't that crazy?
God, I can't believe it was that long ago.
I know.
I remember they had a TV show too.
Did they?
Yeah, they made like it wasn't, obviously it didn't have Robert DeNiro or Charles Grodin in it, but there was a Midnight Run television show. Yeah.
God, that sounds vaguely familiar.
The guy who starred in it was, if you remember Requiem for a Dream, the guy who was like, be excited, be excited. That guy. He was Jack Walsh.
Who was the Duke?
There was no Duke. It was just like the Jack Walsh Midnight Run show.
It obviously wasn't good because it didn't.
It was one of those. It was one of those syndicated deals like Xena and Hercules. You know, Channel 11.
Without the traction. I mean, those shows lasted a long time.
Those shows lasted. Midnight Run lasted. I think it was like maybe a season.
Yeah.
Of that. But it existed. I remember.
That's so funny. All right, I'm gonna go around the room. Olive G, what did you think of this movie?
I thought it was really good. It made me laugh
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, what was your favorite part?
You seem to really have a lot of fun during those car chase scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, those are hilarious.
What was your favorite? Did you have a favorite part in the movie?
My favorite part was when
the helicopter blew up.
Yeah, I like that part when the helicopter blew up.
Yeah, I saw you were really into it.
Okay.
And I also like the car chases.
I noticed you
because they were pretty fun.
You were like laughing on every single car chase scene. Yeah. I remember that.
It's a good action movie and comedy and
I mean, it's not like action these days where it's like faces getting punched and people being thrown through furniture, but it was like the classic car chases with like really crappy car, like the scene with the police chasing them through the desert was very reminiscent of the Blues Brothers.
Oh my gosh, I was just gonna say that.
The model of police car used it like those things looked like
that was the thing back then.
Yeah, but those things looked like they weighed about 80 pounds, those cars. Like, they weighed nothing. They were just, like, flying and flipping and falling over and just crumpling into nothing. Like, they were junk cars.
Junky car store.
But really good stuff.
Yeah. How about you, G? What'd you think of the movie?
This movie was okay.
Okay. What what was okay about it?
I don't know. It was just not very good, but it wasn't bad either.
Well, what could have made it better in your mind?
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot happens in the story, right? I mean, you have this guy, Jack, who is of a certain mindset at the beginning of the story, but then by the end has a complete, almost 360, right?
I knew that he was going to let that guy go. That was predictable.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that part of it is predictable, but he goes on this interesting journey and even sort of has to grapple with the mistakes from the past. And the Duke is sort of like, I don't know if voice of reason is the way to describe it, but it's almost like the Duke sort of becomes like a quasi-conscience, voice of conscience to Jack.
Well, I think the Duke helps him realize
that they're not very dissimilar.
They're not very dissimilar. There's that moment when they both realize that, that they both want to do what's right. You know, it's like, why didn't you take the money? You know, like the Duke almost like throws that back into his face. Like,
right.
what he says, why would you put your life in danger so that a bunch of strangers could like you? Yeah. And the Duke's like, well, why did you not accept the drug money, Serrano's money?
Yeah.
You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And so they weren't that dissimilar. I mean, personality-wise, they were very dissimilar, night and day.
Yeah.
Charles Grodin, the Duke, was
he was white-collar criminal.
White-collar criminal, but he was just really annoying throughout the whole movie. But that's like a real good testament to the character, the way the character is written. That even though he could be annoying, he was still likable. He was endearing. He was likable, and by the end, you really cared about his character. You didn't want him to go off and get killed or anything like that. And that, I think that was something that Jack had to come to grips with. Right. Was that he was pretty much sending this guy to his death, and he was doing it. But in his mind, he's like, "Oh, you're a criminal. You deserve what you get." But it wasn't like that. It's not so black and white. Right. There are shades of gray in there, and the legal thing isn't the right thing. Exactly.
So you said you didn't think this movie was great, G. What didn't you like about it? I'm curious what you didn't like about it.
Curious as to what you found lacking. Were the characters annoying? Did the story drag for you at certain points? Were the characters likable?
Yeah.
They were likable. Okay, so it had that going for it, right?
Yeah.
Was there any character that was just unlikable completely? I mean, aside from the bad guys, even Marvin was kind of likable, even though he was a complete, absolute jerk. But he was an idiot, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't. I know that when you delve into stories, G, you like to hear more about the female perspective. There aren't too many female voices in this. There's the ex-wife and the daughter, basically, and that's about it. This is best.
The coffee lady.
The coffee lady, sure, but she wasn't really integral to the story. I think the scene with the wife and the daughter was very important, even though it was very short. So you get the female perspective from his past, and it sort of gives you an idea of
it gives you a window into Jack.
Right. It gives you an idea of who he used to be and what he was about. And it's interesting because at the end, I don't know, again, this is interpretation. I should have deep dived on this movie before we watched it, but when Serrano tells Jack, like, oh, he's a captain, I wondered if maybe he was one of the guys on the take.
Jack says that throughout the entire movie. He's like, oh, you got to leave. My husband's coming home. We're going out to dinner. And he's like, oh, what is it, payoff day? He was constantly saying that her husband was on the take.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I thought it was going to be that it was his daughter's birthday.
I haven't
seen this in a long time, and that scene kind of like
I don't think the reason for celebrating was the important aspect of that conversation. It was just the fact that Jack basically is telling her that her husband is
on the take. And
I think that was, you could see she still cared for a bit for Jack, obviously.
Right.
But she was not, there was no real love there for, they were never getting back together. And that was like another aspect with like Jack's watch. He was like always hoping,
Right.
One day they get back together, and it's the Duke that helps him see, hey, sometimes you just got to get a new watch.
Right.
Because that was not going to happen.
Right. And maybe she knew, because that was another thing. Like, he was something, and then he was like a lieutenant. She goes, oh no, he's captain now. And it's like, she's not giving up that lifestyle.
No,
and plus she has a son with this guy now, I guess.
And she never contradicts him when he says he's on the take.
Interesting. I didn't even realize that either. So she's fine with it.
I think she was accepting of the situation.
Yeah, because it gave her the life that she wanted.
Maybe that's something that she resented about Jack, because he pretty much gave up everything because he wanted to maintain his integrity.
Right.
He didn't want to be didn't want to be that guy. And when it came down to it, he had 3 choices: go on the payroll, go to jail, or get out of town and leave everything behind.
Right. And he chose the last one.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. And it paints the ex-wife in a kind of a bad light, if you think about it.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Although Jack's not better in the fact that he should have been more proactive about having a relationship with the daughter.
Yeah, he could.
I mean, you could tell. I mean, again, interpretation. You could look at it in many different ways. But that scene where the daughter, I guess, goes to get her babysitting money to help him. She obviously still loved her father, still thought of her father, was willing to help her father, even though he hadn't seen her in 9 years, didn't even know what grade she was in. So, I mean, everybody makes choices in life, right? And you have to either own up to them or, I don't know.
All right, well,
Is it payday yet?
What does that
payday
mean? What did you think about the movie? I hadn't seen it in a long time, but it's still, I feel like the writing in it is really sharp, really great. The fact how Grodin and DeNiro play off each other is just flawless and magnificent. I think prior to this, I think prior to this, I hadn't really seen De Niro in a lot of comedic things. So this wasn't his usual fare, right?
I think this is when he started veering into that territory.
Yeah.
Prior to this, it was always just
dramatic
like
pieces,
mobsters and
crazy taxi drivers.
Yeah. This was the first we got to see a bit of his lighter side. Even though, I mean, he's never really, like, this is not a comedy. You know, it has its funny bits, but it's more of like almost like a buddy cop thing. If one of the cops is actually a criminal on the run, the other one's a bounty hunter.
Right.
But yeah, this is the first time we get to see a bit more humorous take.
But it was nice though, because I mean, it definitely played against De Niro's type, I think, at that point. And I think having him be that way, and then having Grodin be sort of like the neurotic character.
That's, you know what? I guess De Niro is like the straight man to Grodin, but. Yeah. It's not like slapsticky. It's seriously, the writing is super sharp. Like, like nobody's saying stuff for the sake of just saying stuff. Just cranking out a joke for no reason, or you know, circumstances being written so that oh look, we could laugh about this. It's just guys talking to each other on the road, finding out about each other, and
forming a relationship.
Yeah, pretty much forming a relationship. And even though they joke, you know, maybe in another life we probably would have still hated each other. That's not really true, I don't believe. I think in another life they probably could have been friends because they both have the same ideals. Sure. I mean, they go about it in different ways, and I mean, they probably would get on each other's nerves a little bit, but by the end of that thing, you saw that they
relationships, right?
At the end, you saw that they genuinely, you know,
they each challenge each other to kind of be almost better, right?
Yeah.
And I think it really, really worked here. Outstanding work. I mean, just really great screenwriting by George Gallo. I mean, this is 88, right? And we're now in 2020, and it still holds up. I mean, the jokes still land. All of the scenarios are fantastic. The writing is just great. And even in the not funny pieces, like the scene with the ex-wife and stuff like that, I mean, it's still powerful.
Yeah, these characters feel real.
Yeah, very much so.
Nobody is a cartoonish buffoon in this movie, really. Even Marvin.
Yeah.
as dumb as Marvin could be, he was also intelligent in different ways, and he was just he also was a strong character. I mean, Dennis Farina was Dennis Farina. He was basically Avi before Avi.
Yes, exactly. It's so funny we were talking about Smash.
He's pretty much the same character that he is in Avi with, hey, sit down, have a sandwich, relax, just...
Sydney, if you don't shut up, I'm going to put this phone in your head. That was the funniest thing. And of course, I laughed hysterically. The great Yaphet Kotto as Alonzo Mosley.
Alonzo Mosley, the beleaguered FBI.
If we ever go on a family trip, can you please sign us at the hotel room as the Alonzo Mosley family? That would be hilarious. Marvin was great, played by John Astin. Dennis Farina was Jimmy Serrano. Joe Pantoliano.
Joey Pants.
Joey Pants was Eddie Moscone. It's funny to see him with a little bit more hair than he currently has.
Yeah.
But he was definitely starting to lose it there.
Oh, he was holding on to scraps when this film came out.
But, just solid storytelling in this. I mean, it looks like an 80s movie.
The direction isn't anything fantastic
or out of the norm type of movie structure.
The car chases are very reminiscent of stuff from that time. Like now car chases are crazy with like rapid cutting and editing and
people hanging off.
Cameras mounted on the side of the wheel well, so you get like these crazy angles.
Yes, and people hanging off the sides of cars.
This was as straightforward as you can get. There was probably a camera on the side of the road and maybe one in a helicopter. And
I think that was a good example about the Blues Brothers. Yes, it's very reminiscent of that car chase scene as well. So, I mean, like you look at something like this and you see shades of other stuff, and you can also see shades of how this movie has influenced other movies. So that's kind of interesting, and it's definitely, again, I feel like it's held this test of time, but again, that comes from good, solid writing, because you can have a fantastic budget, but if you don't have the bones of a good story, it's just not going to be a success. And I think
this was a good, solid story.
This was a good, solid story. It had really good acting in it.
It has aged very well.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
There's nothing that you're going to groan about and like, dated 80s humor.
Exactly. None of that.
It's just banter between two really talented actors.
Yes.
Working with a really good script.
Yeah. And it shows, And everybody, I mean, even the other characters, Mosley, Marvin, Serrano, all of them just shine. I mean, it's obviously not their movie. It's definitely Jack's and the Dukes, but it is nothing's wasted here. Nothing. Even Crazy Jerry, who sells them all out.
Crazy Jerry.
I'm sometimes surprised that this movie hasn't been rebooted or...
I hear probably every couple of years, there's going to be a reboot of Midnight Run.
But it never happens.
Never happens. But every couple of years, somebody says, you know what, Midnight Run was a good movie.
It is a fantastic movie. I'm really surprised. I mean, I'm surprised there's been, remakes of Overboard and Point Break. Both original movies, which I love, but the remakes are just horrific.
Overboard, everybody's favorite rape movie.
It's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but the irony is, watching it now, obviously,
the
it's
subject
different.
Matter. I mean, you could see why they gender swapped it for the remake, but even still, it's just like you're taking advantage of somebody, who hasn't.
It is.
That's basically the synopsis. It is
tricky. It is tricky.
An unscrupulous person takes advantage of someone with amnesia. That's overboard.
Yes, it is tricky to justify in this day and age. But when it came out, I freaking loved it. And every time Channel 11 played it, I watched it like it's nobody's business. I will still watch it movie, whenever it's on.
It's
usually on country music, isn't it?
Remove that connotation. It's actually a bit sweet.
Yeah.
You definitely got to make some excuses for that one.
Yes. But I feel like this movie, I'm really surprised that no one's come out and done a reboot of it. I would love to see...
I think maybe just because it's so damn good.
Yeah.
You know,
but that's the thing. I mean, I feel like that more so than any other reason, why wouldn't they do it?
I mean, I'm always of the thought that if you're going to remake a movie that was like had potential but didn't reach it. This was just fantastic. I mean, it's got Robert De Niro doing a great job, Charles Grodin doing a great job, everybody else doing a fantastic job. Story is really well done, nice, tight. Nothing is just sort of like thrown out there and just ignore the fact that this part of the movie doesn't make a lick of sense.
Yeah.
None of that. The dialogue between the characters is just tight. Everything fits perfectly. So I don't see how you would possibly make that again or do it better.
I mean, I would like to see it flipped. I would love to see from the female perspective, maybe. I mean, I feel like it's not that movie, but like The Heat with Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy.
That's very funny. Yeah,
it's funny, and it sort of veers into this territory where you have the straight one, and then you have the loose cannon one. Right?
That one is definitely played more for laughs, though.
It is played more for laughs, but I would like to see this movie maybe redone, sort of in that vein. Maybe play up the comedy a little, not too much.
I don't know, but then, I mean, I'm sure there have been films like that, and they're just, you don't really remember them. You know?
That's true.
It wouldn't be that if somebody did something like what you were suggesting and they called it Midnight Run, I would be like, this is garbage. Don't you? How dare you?
Okay, so what if they just did the same exact script, but just changed the names, made it like Mary and Josephine?
Just a female Midnight Run?
Yeah.
I mean,
would that work?
I guess you could do something like that, but it's like, still, why bother? It's just
maybe some things are just left just well good. Alone.
Yeah, leave it well enough alone. I don't really see any room for improvement in it.
No, none at all.
I mean, it's not like as though, remember that fight scene in Midnight Run? It just really was, it just sort of took me out. No, there's no fight scenes, really.
Yeah.
You're going to, redo the car chases? That's not really the point of the movie. The point of the movie was them on this journey.
Right.
And that was done about as perfectly as you could possibly get. I don't know, I don't know what you would do to improve this. It's not like as though remember that movie was really good, but the acting, it would have been greater if they had better actors,
everything.
Or maybe it was great, but they just weren't pretty enough. Let's recast it, but with like people from a WB show. No, it doesn't work.
Don't put that out there. It'll happen.
It doesn't work. They have to have that look, that like everyman look, I mean, Robert De Niro, he's not an ugly guy, but he's not chiseled jaw with the little butt, with the butt chin or anything like that. He looks like a guy you would see walking down the street in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Carrying groceries or something.
Or just a broken guy who is still waiting for his wife to come back.
A guy yelling at a cabbie.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to be like going into some. He's not the guy ordering the watercress salad at the Union Square Cafe trying to get noticed.
All right. Well, let's hope that they don't mess this movie up, I guess. I mean, it is a fantastic legacy. I mean, even after all this time, I would highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's obviously got a lot of salty language. I don't know if it's family fare, but we have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old.
It's rated R strictly for language.
Yeah.
They also say violence, but I mean, as far as violence goes, it pretty much is just car crashes and people getting socked in the jaw. But there's nobody is bludgeoned or brutalized or anything like that. It's just like, and the guy's unconscious. Classic 80s.
Silly,
That's it. You're done.
Yeah. Okay, so G, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this movie?
A 6.
A 6. Olive G, what would you give this movie?
I give it an 8.
An 8. Very nice. What would you give it?
I'd give it like an 8.5.
8.5. You know what's funny? As fantastic as this movie is, I didn't feel like a perfect 10. I would give it a 9.75. Almost a perfect movie. I don't know what's preventing me from giving it the 10, but
Mom, it's not like you're forcibly supposed to.
There's no perfect movies.
There are perfect movies.
No.
There are just open your eyes and he runs.
I give it a 9. I was holding back a little bit. Yeah, 9.
Yeah, no. I mean, seriously, for a movie written in 1988, it still holds up. I mean, I would love for them to, like, maybe, I don't know, give it the digital love and, like, preserve it better.
Yeah, they could.
That was the only thing,
I think. Remaster it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a fantastic movie. I mean, they've done it with, like, Alien, which is older, right? 1979, I think, is when Alien came out. And I don't know, whatever print they have, it's really nice.
I mean, Ridley Scott clearly, like, the way he filmed stuff. I mean, he was filming it in some really nice stock, I guess, or whatever. But this felt more. I don't think they had the budget of Alien.
Probably not, but still, it's a good movie, and
it's a fantastic movie.
I think if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, and if you have seen it, I recommend watching it again. It's a great trip down memory lane, and just story-wise, just you can't do better than this. You really can't. It's just so good, and the way that DeNiro and Grodin play off each other is magnificent to see. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about this movie. I hope this is the type of movie that they should be teaching in film school, how to break down like the scenes and the dialogue and study it.
Just for character interaction.
Yeah, I think this is a good movie.
And how to do that in an interesting way.
When a movie is more dependent on dialogue than action, I feel like this is one of those movies, because it really paints a good picture of both of these characters. You get to know them in this brief amount of time, and like you said, you really get to care for them, and that's important when when the story grabs you to the point that, like, oh no, I really want the Duke to be okay. That's a good movie, because now you've been moved by something that's not even real.
Yeah.
So
Duke's a good character.
Duke's fantastic. He does. All right. I guess that's it from us, and we will come back soon with another review. Good night.
Night.
Night.